Okay, so now we can play around with filtering. Usually before we filter data, we RTP the data. So RTP stands for reduced to pole. So we want to pretend as if we're at the magnetic poles, because if you know magnetics, that means that instead of a blue and a pink over your body in some regions, you'll just have a pink anomaly over your body, and it becomes a lot easier to understand where to drill because you can just drill in the middle. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. This is quite a nice image. You can see you've got some sort of dye coming through here, and this is what the anomaly would look like on the magnetics, and you would have to drill in the middle between the low and the high. But when you do reduce to pole, it changes this anomaly to only positive, and you just drill on the top, which is often easier to just process. So we're going to reduce to pole our data. There is one, there's a limitation when you use reduce to pole. If you have very old rocks, as I've got in this area, this pink anomaly, then they have remnant magnetization. So they have the stored field when they were formed. And RTP really only works on induced magnetization. So it will affect your data. So ideally, you should only do this in younger areas where there's induced magnetization, but it's quite common practice to use regardless. So if you carry out an RTP, you would expect to see a shift in where your anomalies are. So how we go about this is you need to enable the mag map filtering menu. So how we do that is project, manage menus, and you go down here into extensions, and you click on 2D filtering, I think, and 2D filtering, and you click OK. For what I understand, this is a paid menu, so unless you bought it, you won't have it. Then you go up top here to 2D filtering, mag map filtering. It says, what is your input grid? So I'm going to click down and choose a micro leveled minus TF. Then what is your output grid? This is what Geosoft generates, but just to save me time, I use the same name, but then I physically type here underscore RTP. And now it says filter file. So this is a con file. So if you click here, I've got a bunch of them. These were generated when you did the base map. Don't know if this was the gridding. You can just reuse these. If you don't see something in your folder, just take a text file and change its extension to .con. The computer will say the file's unstable, but it's fine. So click on it and now go edit filter, and this window comes up. And in this drop down is all the different filters you can apply, which is amazing. And we're going to go down here to reduce to magnetic pole. Okay, it says, so it's moaning here. It says the input date 2215 is outside of the calculation range. That's fine. I'll explain to you why now. So it's saying my survey date is the current date, but I know my survey date wasn't. It was 1980, and it's just saying that my date is too current for the models that they've got. So I put in my survey date here, and I click on the calculator, and it calculates the inclination and declination at that time. You can see here, if I had not put in the correct date, and let's say I put in last year, these inclination and declination values change. They're not huge, but it does change a bit. So for improved accuracy, you really should put in the right date. Interesting would be to see if by chance the survey had been done in December, how much different would it be? So not hugely different, but the years seem to be a lot more, obviously. Okay, and now I'm going to click OK, and it's going to generate an RTP file. And there it is. And again, I'm going to put it back on my map. So I double click on my map, maximize, go grid and image, display on map, grid. And I go down the drop down, I choose RTP, I take away smoothing and click on shading. And I'm going to add a color bar here to save me some time. And I'm going to click current map. Now in the layers, I've got to make sure I've got my RTP selected, which it's done automatically, which is great. I'm going to click on locate, and I'm going to click yes, so it overlays my color bar over here. And then I'm going to go over here and change my title to RTP, so I know what data I'm looking at. And I click OK. And it has overlaid it, and you can see when I click on and off this RTP grid, it's definitely a shift. So I'm not so focused on this big anomaly because I know it's in the basement and it's definitely got remnants. So it's these smaller, shallower stuff that is most likely induced magnetization. It's dark and that there is a bit of a shift on them. And I could take off my old color bar so I can see the new RTP color bar. Okay, so that's how you do RTP, and then the rest of the filtering can follow from there.